Welcome back. We've got some more Hearthstone for you, as this is day number 3 of this week, and one of the, I guess, the penultimate week before playoffs, if that makes any sense. Anyway, whatever. There's 2 more weeks of
the penultimate to the penultimate.
Yes,
yeah,
that's what I was
go.
after. Well, I guess that, like, for me, the last week of Grandmasters is next week.
Yeah.
Because playoffs is not a Grandmasters general week, is it?
Right.
It's the top 4 have a different, slightly different tournament format.
Yes.
And play in one weekend.
It's the penultimate league week.
Exactly, yes. Whatever with your fancy words, Derek being right all the time. But most importantly, let's take a look as these 2 players are prepared to get into combat. Tyler versus che0nsu, both players shielding Priest, but there's the Hunter and the Druid are banned out on respective sides. And again, it might get a bit boring at this point and maybe not fancy enough, but I just like it. Just shield Priest.
Yep.
It's a good deck. And then we see the Druid and the Hunter being banned, kind of just continues to display my, or at least my overall thoughts on Hunter actually being really good in general, and also good this week, because it's not the first time we've seen that banned.
My iPad just marked on the correct decks that have been banned, and I didn't draw them in.
Are you sure it's the right deck list?
Yes. That's so weird. It must have been like, coincidentally, I did the drawings on another picture.
Derek's mind is blown. Derek's often not.
There is a ghost in this iPad, I'm telling you, man. That was weird.
Have you not heard it's the new film, Ghost in an iPad? Anyway, both players shielding Priest. I'll answer my own question. I think Hunter, we've seen Hunter do quite well so far in GM, especially over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I think that when it's not done well is because it's been banned and not played. I genuinely feel that's roughly been the case.
Okay, yeah, banned the wrong decks for Tyler. There's something going wrong here. But anyway, I agree. With respect to Hunter,
Derek's back.
If it does everything the players think it does, then it's insane. I think the thing is that I maybe disagree with how strong it is in some of the matchups that players who like it say it is in. So, like, for example, Staz thinks that, Staz thinks that Highlander Hunter beats Priest, it beats Warrior, it beats Druid, it beats Shaman. He thinks it just beats everything. And I think it's fine in all those matchups. The power of the deck is that it is okay in pretty much every matchup.
Right.
It doesn't have any auto-lose matchups. And if you're playing it very well and your opponent is unpracticed against it, especially, it can get you those very favourable situations. So for che0nsu, I really don't mind getting rid of the Hunter there at all.
Yep, whereas we can see che0nsu's actually playing Spell Ward, Jeweler, the lineup. As 2 of his 3 decks that he's actually allowed to play, does have it in. Doesn't really need it in Priest, the games don't go that long. But yeah, I think che0nsu's lineup and his tech choices seem pretty good to me. Again, it interests me more and more. Like, what do you think about Plague of Murlocs? Because as in concept, I liked it. I tried it and it seemed okay, but I know certain people, subtle, hate it and think it's bad.
Yeah, it's one of the things...
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I always fall into this where I love the idea of a card so much that I don't actually evaluate whether it's actually good. Because the idea is very clear, right? You want to be able to counteract a big minion from Priest. Because if they go Amit plus Divine Spirit, you have literally no way in the deck to answer it unless you're discovering something off the Ethereal Lackey. So for that reason, I'm like, brilliant, just stick it in. But then if you follow that logic, then you should be putting in, Spellbreaker, Hungry Crab, like every tech card, because you don't have an answer to certain things. Whereas very often, the best thing to do in a deck isn't to have an answer for every eventuality. It's to do the one thing your deck does best. To do it as best as you can, which for Battlecry Quest Shaman is, of course, to have as many Battlecries in as possible. I think in this particular instance, though, because of, 1, the dominance of Priest in pretty much every lineup, and the fact that it's shielded so often from players, so it will be able to be played, I think it just gives you, even if it's not good to be played, it makes your opponent play so weirdly. The fact that you just have one in your deck, an ever-looming threat, means that I think it's probably just about worth it in this meta, even if I wouldn't play it on ladder.
In GM, GM, because of shield being a thing. And I think I would agree overall. I don't think it's super powerful, but if it wins you 1 game out of 6, maybe even 1 game out of 10 against Priest, and that just 1 card just straight up wins you the game, then you got to think, well, is that worth it? And I think for the 1 card, you've got small side benefits of you could arguably buff a board of just bad lackeys against Warrior, say, to maybe some health totals that it doesn't get cleared so easily, and so on. Like, there are different things you can do with the card, so I definitely don't hate it. I think it's the most okay of techs at the moment in Grandmasters, but This is not a Shaman game. Right now, Tyler on the top on the Priest, che0nsu on the bottom on the Warrior, and che0nsu already got some really good cards.
He does. There was a little bit of a spectator like that. I thought that Tyler had kept the Bonsandi, which I think if I was to have made this mulligan, it's always difficult trying to be honest with myself, like thinking what I would actually do if I hadn't seen what the pros would do. I think I would have kept Cleric and Bonsandi in that situation, because Bonsandi is a good card against Warrior. It gives you that inevitable refill, because a lot of the time, even if the Warrior has removed your stuff consistently up until turn 7, they don't always necessarily have a dominating board presence. A 7/7 on the board can swing things back in your favor enough. But Tyler's conundrum there, of course, is if I have 2 1-drops in hand, I don't want Bonsandi because it doesn't draw me quite so many.
Suddenly draw 1 or 2 more throughout before turn 7.
There you go.
Bonsandi is just a 7-mana 7/7. Maybe draw 1 card.
And this line of play obviously has its merits as well. You're saying I want to disregard the late game scenario and instead focus 100% on locking down the early board, which, well, we can see it obviously has its merits.
So far, che0nsu's opening hand, I do like overall. It's just these first, I think like if he gets through the first couple of turns without being completely just dominated, then his hand is quite good. If he doesn't, then obviously he doesn't, that's a problem. But the mummy, like being able to be coined out is actually huge.
Hey, I got you, friend.
Yeah, even without the Divine Spirit though, it gets a little bit weird in che0nsu, because of course if he goes, say, Restless Mummy, just coin it out here, you can't make the first one die by attacking into the Cleric, so it can't kill off the Cleric, which is really annoying there, because if you just attack it into, say, even if you were to attack it into the 2 other minions on board, I guess that's actually, that's okay. As long as there's nothing on board to heal, you're happy as che0nsu.
So there is just the hard depend on this coin usage now, which might give che0nsu, never mind. I thought maybe it gives him pause for concern, just thinking about whether he could warpath with coin and wrath on turn 6 to hard play the board. No, he's going to trade for the minions. Like you said, just leave nothing to be healed. No, okay. That's a snap.
That is the play. It's obviously not amazing, but for Tyler at the moment, I think he's very happy to just like have stuff on board. He doesn't really care necessarily about having one giant minion quite yet, as long as he can stick stuff on board and hope to draw Nephset Ritualist or Circle of Healing.
Job done. This is nice though. One more path just reduces the board down and damages the minions. So on the off chance that Tyler doesn't heal these, he can actually just hard Plague of Wrath next turn.
That's true.
Because even now, there's oh, it does, sorry, yeah, it wasn't Divine Spirit, right? I was going to say it doesn't go to full. And don't get me wrong, he doesn't have to. You know, he's not locked into Plague of Wrath at all. But it was just possible.
6 health on the board for Tyler means that the second Pyromancer is not a necessary play to play around Dynamatic. Because of course, if there was just 5 health on the board, you really want to protect this Cleric right now as much as possible. But I think for Tyler, he'll quickly realize there's very, very little way that che0nsu can actually clear this off on this turn. And because of that reason, the Pyromancer is not necessarily having to be played, but he could still just get it on the board should he so desire.
Also, che0nsu plays a Spellbreaker, so just dumping a Divine Spirit, for example, onto the board.
True.
To get Spellbreaker is like, ooh.
Yeah, I don't think I like Divine Spirit on this turn. Like, it opens up, it kills off one of your minions, opens you up to Plague of Wrath even. Like, if I was che0nsu, I'd be very happy to throw that down. Ooh. And so I think because of all of that, I like the pass there.
Job done. Ooh, he's going to use the
Wow. This is aggressive as all hell, man.
And I guess in a roundabout way, in most circumstances, the Acolyte doesn't die, which means that it can bump Plague. If there's an emergency, you know.
Right.
Because there's not a lot that actually kills the Acolyte at this point, right?
I've got more left in me.
That was like low-key, such a pivotal turn there from che0nsu. That decision to go for that, he made it so quick, and I don't think it was that obvious.
Also, as well, Tyler healed the Tolve, which means that Plague's just Just gonna wreck him.
That's true. I was kind of anticipating that the Plague wouldn't get the job done because Tyler would heal it. Now it just does. Fair play, che0nsu.
che0nsu's
It worked
like
out for you.
ultimate mega bind going on here.
Damn.
Great film, by the way. Watch that one.
I've never actually seen it.
Oh, it's actually well worth it.
I've seen a lot of memes based on it, but that's fair.
It's one that on the surface looks like a poor man's, you know, sort of animated funny film.
Yeah.
But it's actually very good. But yes, this is like, and it's at a silence. Oh, so it's like get plagued.
Whoa.
This is just good.
Pick with Restless Mummy doesn't really change anything.
No.
Yeah, I want to see Plague. Get rid of that cleric.
You don't even say, oh, well, if there's Born Samdi, or it's like, no, there's a cleric on board that's buffed. Kill it. Kill it with fire.
Cleric must die.
It's like when you see those beams of the picture of a spider and the house burned down. It's basically what che0nsu just, wait, there's a damaged cleric? Plague, plague, plague. It's like, just kill it.
Yeah.
Now snap into having the Zilliax available, and I believe still going to double check. Yeah, Tyler's playing one silence, so this snap is just there.
Yep.
Now there's Mummy, there's Zilliax to back it up with, depending on what che0nsu, depending on board state, I guess, is the outcome of whether he uses the Mummy or the Zilliax.
Tyler's got a spicy turn, though, here. This can get very nice, of course, with, I'm imagining, value trade on the snap, Pyromancer, Power Word Shield, Cleric Nephicet. I guess with a Light Warden thrown in there as well, because he's got plenty of mana. Unless there's a possibility to just look for lethal on this turn.
I don't think he's got time already. His turn's halfway down. Unless he's been thinking about lethal from second one.
Right.
I think you should do this turn.
I think it was worth considering, though, because with Power Word Shield and Beaming Sidekick in hand, he could have buffed it up to 11, which would have meant one Divine Spirit is 22 damage, and he would have had the mana, even with Pyromancer, Power Word Shield, Nephicet, and the Beaming Sidekick. He still could have fit in Divine Spirit in a fire.
I think the issue for me
is fine.
The issue for me is the second you don't hit it, there's a massive snap on the board.
That's
you're like, this gets weird now. I'm much. Oh, there you go. Nice. I definitely do prefer just this play from Tyler. Very solid. Get the job done. Set up lethal next turn.
I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure.
Okay, my question: if you were sat in Tyler's chair at his home playing this game,
that is a good point.
Would you have gone from almost the second the turn started?
Yeah.
Oh, there's lethal here. You know,
Probably
if
not.
you think about time constraints.
Yeah. And to be fair, I think Tyler was going through the exact same thought process. He was thinking, this could be lethal, but if I screw it up, the game ends on the spot.
Lose.
And obviously the downside of this play is you could be met with Brawl or Second Plague. Clearly that has not happened, which means Tyler is in a fantastic position. He is
9,
pretty close to his
would
lethal.
go to 8. Double would go to 16. Could heal first.
Well, he could go...
Because the Pyro's going to keep knocking
yes,
off, right?
yeah, sorry, yes.
I wonder.
Yeah, of course.
You can go to 9 without taking damage.
Double
so
to
you
18,
can double
down
to
to 17, 17 attack.
But you can heal.
Yes.
He has enough mana, right?
Okay, so 18 attack, 20, 24. It's not quite there yet, of course, but...
My question is, do you just do it anyway?
he can just start drawing to go for lethal.
What draws? Does he just exactly the second Divine Spirit?
But the problem is, he's thinking if he uses a Divine Spirit and the board is then cleared, things get very messy, actually, at that point. Because Divine Spirit is a very valuable card at this point.
Yeah, it's true. I was just looking at the fact he has, like, Hammer, Blade Master, Light Warden, you know, other stuff like that. So even just Topsy might do the job without Divine Spirit.
That's lethal. That is lethal.
It's not going to mana. Oh, no, with Topsy.
With Topsy, that was lethal.
Wait. 7. Wait.
Yes, that was lethal.
No, it's not. Wait, yeah, it is.
It was.
It was. Okay,
he was at 28
I was trying to think of all the
health,
permutations of it, and it's like, yes,
It was
that's right.
Oh, no, wait, with Pyromancer. Sorry, Pyromancer on board. It wasn't lethal, right? Pyromancer damages his own minion.
Wait,
what was
so,
it? 7
okay, hang on. So give him
26.
7 health is 26 he had to do.
So it doubles
would
to
put
14, 13.
Which goes 13. Doubles to 26.
25.
But he takes 1 damage, yeah.
1 damage
He's
off lethal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Told
fair
you
enough.
wasn't he?
Fair enough.
That is
You
definitely
were
not
right.
exactly what I
you were
thought.
right. I mean,
I was trying to work out the fact that Topsy plus Pyro might have done something, but
Yeah,
honestly,
I wonder.
I think if I was Tyler, I would have gone for it and whiffed.
yes.
Obviously, I think
if
I would
I'm
have
being
gone for it
honest
and
with
whiffed.
myself,
yeah.
I would have thrown this game at this point. So to be fair to Tyler, some quick math, to be sure.
And it's weird because saying, or at least I feel that, oh, well, Pyro's on the board, just account for it. I feel like that's way harder to do than it sounds, right?
really
Even
tough.
though you're just like, well, just -1. It's like, well,
Now, however, though, with being able to
so just a flat trade from the Pyro heals
trade
him
off the
to,
Pyromancer,
yeah, it is,
it's
right?
got
It
to
is,
be, yeah,
with the Blade Master.
where you're
No tomb can hold
Guess
me.
arguable. Just, oh, I guess it is, sure. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't, yeah. He's got this one.
Could have just traded the Pyro and just with the health thing, but then he can gain more attack from Pyro.
Right.
It's very insignificant and pointless because it's lethal no matter which way you slice it. Tyler takes game number 1 versus che0nsu on the Priest, and there were definitely some hurdles Tyler had to jump over there to get that job done, and I think overall he piloted it fairly well. I think my question was just the heal on the Tolver instead of the Cleric left him very susceptible to just Plague next, move on, which it did, I think, maybe you could argue wasn't needed. It obviously made his Tolver more survivable against other things, but the Plague was such a hard shutdown. I don't know if that was needed, but I do like the fact that towards the late game, we've talked a lot about it. If you can't do fancy because you've not got the time, don't try. Just get solid Hearthstone turns done, dusted. Don't be open to anything.
That's the really interesting distinction in this game, is that even though I think you can make a very strong argument that Tyler did not play that game perfectly, he made the right play still because he knew his limits. At the point where he'd already gone through half the turn, I think he thought to himself, maybe this is lethal. I'm not quick enough to figure out if it's more likely than my opponent having a brawl, so I'm just going to do the good play that I think gets me there a high percentage of the time, which I think in that instance, even if it was less likely to win him the game if he was a supercomputer, it was just correct.
Yeah, I agree. So Tyler going up 1-0. Maybe he's going to be one of the few players that takes a series from che0nsu this season. Stay tuned, because after the break, we're going to find out.
Well known for their top-notch performance and long-time efforts in the local fan community. We've created a special and memorable Hearthstone-themed weekend.
That's the extra damage.
That is the extra damage. That is the extra damage. Power shield is lethal.
Did he not get it off?
Okay, yeah, second digits. Re-injuring in the next set. Re-injuring in the next set is the same damage. Oh, no!
He didn't get the attack off. He's torn, he doesn't know what to do.
All right, sure.
That's one way to end it.
Fine. I guess that works too.
pretty long-winded way to go about finding the end of this game.
For 3 chance.
Yes.
Oh. Hey. I choose death. Oh, what is Hearthstone, Derek?
Absolute god, Alutemu, hands up to the sky.
Oda checks the, I think when he plays it, we'll need to have an answer to.
Whoa! He's got the answer.
Yeah, because he can.
Warpath trade and then the rush or whatever. That's game.
Do you like Zoo too, John?
I love Zoo a lot. Practice
Thank
it.
you. I love you too.
Sorry, lethal. No! That's the nightmare. But he just loses now. He's got 8 arms, you just thwacked all of them once. I've got 2 left.
What a way to go out. Unfortunate.
Stand up on the casting chair with me, TJ.
Nope.
Stand!
I think it would collapse.
Casters, rise up. No, it would. There's much more important things at stake, people. Come on!
Results. They're a lovely thing.
25.
Oh my gosh. No way.
We are back and ready to go with game number 2 between Tyler and che0nsu. And Tyler in the very, I think, rare position in Grandmasters so far where he's like up in a series versus che0nsu, who's currently, what, 10-1 in Grandmasters this season. So pretty incredible performance from che0nsu, but Tyler looking to take him down. And I believe it is going to be the Shaman from Tyler versus the Priest on che0nsu. So we're going to see how this matchup goes. I know you've been playing a lot of Shaman versus Priest, but a different style.
I have. I got up to rank top 50 for the first time in a depressingly long time by just farming Priest with Jambre Shaman. But that is a very, very different deck and a very, very different matchup. This Shaman in the Quest Shaman, I think, is pretty universally agreed upon as being pretty unfavored, because all the early game removal tools that the Overload Token Shaman is rocking, like Lick Him, Lightning Bolt, Zap, all that good stuff, is absent, of course, from the Quest Shaman. The part of the deck the part of the decks that overlap, however, that can help you get board control is Mutate, the Mutate package with obviously Mogu Flesh Shaper and, of course, the former champ as well. And I think those are the kind of cards that Tyler is going to be looking for.
Yeah, and obviously we've just seen the mulligan, so Derek's going to cheat as he does often in the mulligans, as we discussed yesterday. But would you have kept a Mutate? Is that something you're looking to keep, even if you have no mutatable minions, so to speak, in the hand?
Yes,
Yeah,
I would. I think Mogu is the part of the combo I would like to keep more. I keep Mogu in the vast majority of matchups just because even a 3-mana 3/4 Rusher is nuts. It's so powerful in the matchup. But of course, in the deck, there's a fair few cards in the early game that are perfectly reasonable to throw down Mutate on. If I can hit a Cable Rat, a Novice Engineer, anything like that, I'm okay. You know, I'll move on with my life. I'm happy.
It's very interesting, because even now, I'm not saying he should, but Tyler's got the option of coin 3-drop Mutate just to get something on the board. It's only a 4-drop, which isn't mind-blowing, of course, but
it's not a bad idea.
But it's not, especially with 2 Mutates in hand, it's not the worst thing I could have ever thought about, but wow. Punished. Kappa.
This is where, in the anime,
look at che0nsu's
Tyler
face.
is 1 game up. He thinks he's winning, and che0nsu pushes his glasses up his nose, starts chuckling. This isn't even his final form.
Not even close. Tyler can't believe it. He's like, I guess I just lose.
Leave my game, you nerd. It's over. There is nothing.
I think this is the first time this is going to be. This is gonna test my knowledge. It's probably going to be wrong.
Yeah.
But when like Kaiba does the first time he shows off, he has 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon. You're like, wait, he has more than 1?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. You're like, oh well, this is just overpowered. I guess I'm out.
Exactly. Well, this is when Inigo Montoya finds out Wesley was fighting with his weaker of the 2 hands. I really have to watch Princess Bride. I'm throwing out way too many references.
I was going to say, I guess I'm just watching that film this week. It's a good evolve though.
I was going to say, High Priestess Checklick is like one of the few cards that can keep Tyler
in
alive
the whole game of Hearthstone.
But not anymore. Oh no, wait. specifically because it has lifesteal.
It pushes him past 40.
Exactly. So buff on that one, topsy-turvy it. The cleric still doesn't kill him.
Hey,
so it's not over, I suppose. Now that Mogu Flesh Shaper is active, what are we looking at? What can possibly win this game now?
So we've got to look at taunts, right? Because there is no minion that deals 14 damage to actually kill this cleric off. There's no sort of live silence effect minions, so it really is just a taunt minions.
Right, we're looking at Ironbark Protector, maybe.
Swing and a miss!
Not that one.
And that's going to be just as quick as it started. It is over, and che0nsu puts his foot down. It's like, no time. This is not going to be a 2-0. It's at least going to go to 1-1 as che0nsu swings back with a priest attack of his own and finishes the game. And wow, we almost blinked and missed it, but imagine a lightning bolt. Imagine, you know, that there are other builds of Shaman that do much better and have much more game. And does that deck actually run? Does it even run an Earthshock, or is it reliant on like lightning bolt liquor package?
Not the field.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, you look at how bad Battlecry Shaman is, because it's literally you do a filthy evolve, or you lose is often the case, and it hurts me to just summarize a matchup in such simplicity. But it's true. There's not really, outside of a bad hand from the priest with an ethereal lackey into X, you know, Hex or whatever. Yeah, the game often goes like that because there's just nothing you can really do. So we're going to move on now and have a Druid versus Shaman matchup. che0nsu on his Shaman versus Tyler's Druid. And Tyler, unfortunately for us, not bringing the Malygos Druid that I'd like him to see, but he's going to be bringing the much more standard Quest Druid, whereas che0nsu again just has his Quest Shaman.
It's interesting because I believe Tyler last week had the Malygos Druid, if I remember correctly, because he had that kind of four very difficult deck lineup with the OTK Paladin as well, Malygos Druid, very difficult decks. This week he's switched over to regular Quest Druid. After having said to us in his interview, he's put in more prep this week. He feels like he's better equipped. And so I guess he's come to the conclusion that in the overall matchups, he would rather have the Malygos Shaman. However, if he could take his pick of either of the two decks in this matchup, I think he'd probably like to go for the Malygos Druid, just because of the fact that it allows you to go over the top of their board presence. You don't even have to care about board presence as long as you're not dying.
Yep, that's priority number one, but board presence is the opposite in this one, because it's all about board for these two decks. che0nsu not only being able to develop a board in itself with the Quest Shaman, and having the ability to steal the board as well from your opponent, because he is of course just running the mind control text. He's only running one because he has to make room for the Plague of Murlocs and the Spellward Jeweler, which means that there are only so many 3 slots available in the deck. So he's only running the one, so it does mean I think Tyler can play a little bit more loose, a little bit more fast. And I just would. Because we've seen it, I think, time and time again, where when you choose the mindset or the route of playing hard around MC tech, well, if the game keeps going, well then they go from maybe they have it, maybe they don't, to they just have it. So there will be a high chance of a punish.
And I think it's very dependent match to match. Like we were saying yesterday, I think Patra did it the right way, where she was hesitant around mind control tech because she could afford to be. Whereas I fully agree with you. In a lot of instances, players don't realize they're never beating mind control tech anyway. So you have to just say, if you got it, you're winning. You probably don't.
And a lot of the time, the difference between stealing a mid-game minion is not as impactful as the difference between stealing 2, 3, 4 minions late game off a big board. It's a tough call to make, though. And speaking of tough calls,
wow.
Oh,
the respect that Tyler is giving this evil totem is off the charts.
That hurts me a little bit.
It really does. Keeping Nourish in your starting hand. Clearly, Tyler there was thinking, okay, brilliant. I'm on the coin. I'm on the play rather than on the coin. That's fine because it ramps you up into turn 6, and he's got the Nourish. Tyler's now going to be completing the quest going into turn 7, which is worlds apart.
It's massive. Like I said, I've said this past weekend. When I play Druid, I think I hard do the mana for the quest and rock it almost to the other extreme of almost no matter what's going on, I'll just be like, nope, I'm having my overpowered quest quickly. But I don't know if that was worth it.
Yeah, the times where I do like deviating is when they go Cleric on 1 and you can go Coin Wrath. In that instance, I'm like, Okay.
Oh, if it's to
North
beat,
Jet Cleric
if it's to
must
beat a
die.
priest,
Right.
I'm probably going to be with you on that one.
Exactly. And can you not just go for it next turn? Can you not just give them one extra lackey? Is that worth having a turn 7 Nourish?
And also, Wrath is pretty sick anyway versus Shaman. Like Wrath, like 2 mana, draw a card, deal 4, is, although it's good to fend off minions like Cleric, I don't think the totem has that level of respect. Like, I don't know.
The thing that this does allow Tyler to do, though, which I almost glossed over, is if he hadn't gone for the Wrath last turn, he would have still been able to play the Crystal Merchant on this turn, but the Evil Totem would still have been in play, so it would effectively have been giving che0nsu 2, maybe even 3 more lackeys, as opposed to 1 more, or Tyler would have to miss the Crystal Merchant on turn 3. And as we can see here, the Crystal Merchant was actually fantastic, and maybe this is enough to buy Tyler the time that he missed out by going an extra turn later. And then if it's equaling the same way because you bought yourself an extra turn, che0nsu now has a couple less lackeys.
I mean,
it's not as cut and dry as that.
No, I agree. That was definitely the thought, right? It was 100% why Tyler did it, and he's not wrong. But for me, I kind of, if I'm the Druid, I wouldn't really care that the Shaman had lackeys. Nice 1/1s, bro. I play 5/5s with Rush every, multiple turns. Like, there's such massively sweeping AoE that it's good. I feel like the biggest punish for a lot of lackeys being on board is actually Plague of Murlocs. Honestly, like that's actually the biggest punish if I was in Tyler's seat right now. But I don't know. This quest is a long way away, and the problem is, well, what happens if a former champ comes down? Well, you've not got the quest power to kill it.
Yeah.
So then you spend in 5 mana on that turn killing it, which means your quest is even more delayed.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it actually gets worse. Ugh.
At the very least, we can see, even just from how long we're talking about it, the ramifications that single seemingly innocent play will have over the entire course of this game. It's just huge.
And there is a former champ as well.
Not playable on this turn.
Nope.
Of course. But che0nsu is, I don't think, starved for options, really. Even just going for double lackey Mogu? Do we hate that?
I think...
Do you want to go a bit smaller than that?
I think, regardless, che0nsu wants the quest proc this turn. So whatever he does to make that happen, he needs 2 more.
Okay.
So I would just want to see 2 lackeys this turn, because having hero power into the elemental is quite strong as an option. But he's... I mean, I guess he can still do that next turn. He can go lackey, hero power, elemental.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good. It's kind of a tough spot for che0nsu, because if he goes for a big forward this turn with, of course, double Mogu and Kobold Lackey, he's making himself vulnerable to to swipe, and also to an extent even an unactivated Starfall, just for the 2 damage to everything. But if he goes in on it later, he's still vulnerable to Starfall in its activated form.
It'll be quest form.
Yeah. Tyler clearly looking at just 2 3/3s, I would imagine, here.
How lame. Only 5 mana.
It's not often you get to see it in this form, but whenever I do, I'm like, it's not bad, actually.
Oh, the card's still pretty
Yeah,
good.
it's just fine. 5 mana 2/3/3 rushes.
It's definitely better than 1 5/5 rush, isn't it?
Usually, yeah.
Almost certain.
Yeah. I think there's like, you have to have a very specific reason to not go for it. But here, wow. Tyler's decision to not kill off the Mogu here is paying pretty big dividends, actually, because the fact that che0nsu now can't, or struggles, I should say. Oh, no, wait.
No,
yeah, hero power.
this is insane. He definitely should have killed
the
the Mogu, because che0nsu crushes him this turn.
Yeah, sorry, the hero power sounds not. I forgot about that. Okay, Tyler had a game plan, I think, to try and deny mutate because he's already seen 1 Sandstorm. The punish for his line of play is
Sandstorm
here,
number
though.
2.
Yes, of course. I was merely speaking from Tyler's perspective.
Of course, I
you
knew
can
that.
tell.
And che0nsu plays around it by actually just putting a taunt on it. The problem now is he can't actually Sandstorm, so I'm not really sure what che0nsu's doing.
I thought that was a pretty easy hero power Sandstorm, right?
Yes?
Double Lackey, hero power Sandstorm, go face with the Mogu mutate.
He's like, ha, you can only poison one Mogu.
How is this better? It gets the second Mogu down, I suppose?
Keeps, oh, okay. No. So this is better because he can form a champ hero power next turn. Because he wouldn't have been able to if he played the
Very
elemental.
good point. Yeah,
so, and you can argue that the fact he rolled the Taunt Tome was actually just insane.
If he hadn't got exactly that, though, what was his game plan? Not play mutate?
Either that, yeah, I guess he just wouldn't mutate
He'd go former champ mutate next turn.
with hero power.
Yeah, which is maybe that's strong enough to
and
go with this line.
arguably, even say, imagine che0nsu didn't mutate. Is Tyler really just not going to swing this poison again? You can't expect him to, right? You'd think that no matter what, this gets played.
Fair enough.
I don't mind it myself. I understand the thought pattern.
That is an interesting draw, though. How does that affect things? Oh, it's all just a little bit off with
Nothing lines up very well, does it?
the Sandstorm and the Wasp, yeah.
But I think he does have to kill a 6/7.
Fair enough. It works out, okay. He gets a couple of good clears.
And he can still do the turn next turn. Even with the overload now, because it's obviously a turn later, so the overload doesn't make a difference to the 7 mana requirement.
He can, but Tyler is not slowing down 1 iota here. I think even though Nourish, is arguably, well, inarguably a somewhat low tempo play, the plays it sets up for are just so phenomenally strong.
Now che0nsu knows that Tyler's going to be able to do broken things for at least a couple of turns, at minimum.
Scenarios, love it. 2 hidden oases should be more than enough. Let's just get a killer.
Yep, I like it because che0nsu is he's playing off the top of his deck.
Yeah. I don't even know if the face play there was correct by Tyler, but I like it. I can respect that push of 6 to the face.
I mean, my thought on that is a 3/3 much different to a 2/2? And if that's not the case, you know the 2/2 is always going to trade.
Just take
Jam him for 6?
Yeah.
Engaging TC-130 mental dislocator.
Tyler here playing around mutate beautifully in this scenario.
I mean, that's just funny, isn't it?
It is just funny.
I think he actually just hit no aces, right?
I do like that the 2 former champs look like they're both shaking their fist angrily at the former champ, like, yeah.
You just hit no aces, trade a 1/4 away.
I guess.
Look at like swipe Starfall potentially next turn,
Yeah,
follow up.
yeah.
Like, I just think Tyler should just play safe because he has way more stuff. Like make a 6/6, heal back up to full, have a 6/6, a 3/3, and a 1/1 on the board. Like it's fine. I think you do trade the 1/4 though. Yeah.
I think honestly I'm fine if they want to go MCT.
Really?
Like they have to have it in exactly 2 cards.
Right, but if MCT is there and it lands on the 6/6, you're in trouble.
I don't even think you are.
Hope you like
With
my
all your
invention.
minions in play and swipe Starfall, in the worst case scenario that they steal the 6/6, you can just clear the board. And the vast majority of times, I think that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I guess what I was thinking was, with Tyler's hand, is one card draw really that good for the potential downside of an MC Tech X?
Yeah.
Like,
I think what's more likely to happen though, just about, this is just my instinct here, obviously I can't run the exact probabilities, but I feel like it's more likely that Tyler just loses 2 good draws into a bunch of value strong plays than MCT off the top into stealing the 6/6. And he held back the injuries, so he was playing around it to an extent.
he was playing around hero power MCT.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Always little time.
che0nsu was just running the Griffin Tamer, and it could all have gone wrong.
Somehow, even though I thought I would hate that joke by now, it's just always funny.
It
It's
really
just
is.
funny.
Because it's such a silly
It's
card.
just so dumb. But at the same time, I'm like, It would be really good here in a
Yes!
surprising amount of cases.
It's a dumb genius thing, like many of the things I say.
All right, we are looking good for Tyler now. We are looking at active Zephyrus, swipe Starfall, take your bloomin' pick.
I like this.
Former champ,
Just
putting
play
in
big
absolute
stuff.
work.
Yeah. Yes. Not terrible, right?
Yeah, do you take a value trade, evolve it? Yeah. Not the worst, especially if you can end up with a 7-drop battle cry.
Okay,
That
okay.
is one of them, yeah.
That'll
okay.
do. I mean, that's just a lot of stuff.
What's the stat line of the weapon? Is it a 1,
2-3.
2-3, not 1-3? Okay.
And if he gets an ethereal lucky soon, summons some lava burst, that thing's gonna hit hard.
Varisa Windrunner.
One of the Windrunner sisters.
How many of them are there?
3. Sylvanas. Valerian.
Oh, the Hunter.
Ah, see, we're learning.
It's like the Bronte sisters.
I don't know who they are.
We're from different worlds, you and I.
I feel like it's either something extremely posh or extremely vulgar.
It's something very, very posh. They
Okay.
wrote like Wuthering Heights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I know that.
Yeah,
I just didn't know that.
I couldn't tell you which one wrote which though, so yeah.
Okay. I was I didn't even know it wasn't they who
Yeah,
wrote that, but whatever. Let's get back to the dumb stuff. Griffin Tamer. Good card. Bring you down to 9.
I'm diving down. che0nsu now undeniably on the back foot. Tyler was tweeting out just before we went into this game how important of a win this is for him. And you can just tell how close this is for him, how much he can taste the victory. But can che0nsu turn this around with the tempo that Dream affords him? Maybe with a tasty evolve as well?
I wonder.
There's a chance that he could like.
None can escape the
Oh, he can only do it twice. I was thinking of like Dream Barista. Replay and just go, whoa!
I like where your head's
1
at.
billion cards. Okay, let's double evolve. King Crush. That's not a bad
That's
one
the
either.
next best thing. He
Although-
can cheat out the Life Drinker.
Godlike levels of play.
This is actually, that's what che0nsu needed. I guess he could actually trade that into the scenarios because he doesn't want the overkill to activate. Because I imagine he'd rather have a Life Drinker in the hand than on the board.
Your life drink in the hand worth 2 on the board.
It's like, okay.
Genius.
Yeah.
This is just,
This is
it's
very
just good
smart.
play.
Very,
it's just
very
good play. Look at this. Problem is though, there is one cheeky boy, Tyler's hand, that could unravel all of this play.
Is there any lethal spell damage off of War Druid Loti? Does that make a difference?
3 would go to 5. You could still fireball, but fireball would only 7.
Yeah. Oh, so close. Can he draw for anything to get lethal? Or is his best chance of winning just blow up the board?
What about
MCT?
what about if he just armors? Like he's not got like che0nsu probably doesn't have lethal next turn, right?
Yes,
So
very
Ferocious
unlikely.
Howl, get Loti down, don't unstealth it. Next turn,
What to
go attack Zephyrus.
I think that's very possibly the line.
Because
I mean, like Loti Starfall, right, does the same thing. Basically, just clears off the board. But leaving Loti stealth, I think, is the part of your plan.
Yeah, Tyler presets up Loti, make sure he does not die.
Yeah.
Is the general rule.
Yeah.
He can do both.
Combine. I don't know why I'm high-fiving there. That was your plan and Tyler's plan. It was nothing to do with me.
You just I can't high five Tyler, can I? So you just filling in for him right now.
I'll take that.
We're just the caster Megazord. When we come together, we just make a more powerful being.
Well, Hero Power Life Drinker, and then there's 4 damage.
Bring them down to 10.
Not lethal? Quite yet?
Yeah, but now he can just play Scenaris, right?
Swipe, attack, fireball, lethal. That's it.
Yeah. GG.
Whoa.
What a game.
che0nsu finally taken down by Tyler, a player of 5-6 record. He really needed this win if he's going to get through to playoffs.
He's going to go a different direction. Like, take it down by Tyler, of all people. I was like, wow, Tyler's pretty good. I thought
Well
you liked
renowned
him.
for being a garbage Hearthstone player.
Awesome, jeez. Tyler, fist pumps go up there. Very happy with that win, and I can't blame him. And also, what is important, we've talked a lot, or everyone's been talking a lot about tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Well, taking down the #1 player in GM does wonders for your tiebreakers if
Great
it goes
point.
to a 3-way plus tiebreak potential. So honestly, without much exaggeration, that win might be the difference between Tyler getting either top 4 or 3rd and above or not.
Yeah.
And that's huge because che0nsu has just laid waste to everyone else in Grandmasters, which means his value, like bounty, as a win is huge when it comes down to tiebreaker #2.
Which means for Tyler, even though he took the win over che0nsu here, he wants che0nsu to win his next 2 games, to push down the other players fighting for playoffs contention and boost his own tiebreaker record at the same time. It gets very interesting along the way there. But for Tyler, I mean, I'm trying to think of anything that he could have improved on there. It just felt like a very clean series of Hearthstone for the most part.
It was. For me, there was just a lot of question points, and there's a lot of plays where I think where players or viewers or whoever could talk for days about the value of them. Hopefully, we get an interview. We're going to find out in a second. But for example, let's talk about it. Right, there's the priest play, not healing the cleric, leaving him susceptible to wrath. But there's also the priest play of having the solid turns and not doing anything overly fancy, or not trying to do anything overly fancy. Then there's the druid turns of the wrath. Right. So I believe Tyler is standing by though, so I can just ask him all these questions instead of talking about it. Can you hear me, Tyler?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I think, well, one, congratulations. That was a pretty big win for you. So good job. But I want to just ask, I feel like that was a very interesting series overall, outside of Game 2. But for Game 1, I just want to ask about with the Priest. There were turns, especially post Bwansamdi, where there was a chance you could have drawn a lot of cards and gone for lethal, but you chose to go for a more sort of finished and steady turn. Is that something you thought about doing, trying to go for lethal, or were you happy just going for it?
But it was so awkward, right?
Right.
Like, I had like a Pyromancer on board. I would like kill my own board and stuff, and like it was a lot of issues. Like there was like hand size issues. So like if I tried to draw a bunch and I whiff, then like I just instantly lose in the spot. And like from the position I was in, I had like a really strong board, and he just went like double shield block, right? So I felt like if I just wait a turn, it didn't seem like he wanted to do anything. He didn't want to clear a board, and he was still taking a ton of damage. So I felt it was okay to wait.
I think so too. And in that game, I just want to congratulate you on not going for lethal on when you picked up the Divine Spirit with double Divine Spirit Topsy, because I was screaming that that was a missed lethal there. But I think you quickly realized that would have been one-off, and I would have looked stupid.
Of the Pyromancer, right?
Yeah, that's it. One-off.
It was there, but I think that's it's just important, and something we've been critical of all players is if there's fancy, complicated potential turns, a lot of players have tried it and whiffed and completely either messed it up or missed lethal. So I think you did a really good job of keeping keeping composure and just going for good solid turns instead.
Yeah, like it's really hard because you only have like a limited amount of time, right? So like sometimes even if like there's a way to get a very complicated lethal or something, it might not be the best to go for it.
Right.
Go for the safe route, even at this level, like you can still mess it up.
Oh, I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it happen across all regions as well. But I just want to ask you as well, just another sort of in-game query, because it's something we talk a lot about, the Druid game. When you chose to Wrath on turn 2, which then had a reasonable impact on the plan of when your quest gets finished. You all just talk to us about why you thought that was a worthy Wrath, and were you worried about the impact that has on your quest timer, or were you feeling confident about how that matchup would play out?
I played a bunch of ladder, and from my experience, like Shaman finishing the quest sooner is just way scarier, because like once they start going, so like when I give them a lot of lackeys and they start going, it's way scarier. So I felt like if I delayed by a turn, like potentially by killing the thing, it's less of an issue. Like you saw me later play like the rush guy for as a 3/3. Like I felt like slowing the Shaman down is more important than being faster myself, if that makes any sense.
No, it does, yeah. And I think we saw that even, I think I said to Derek when you played the Surger, I was like, wow, Surger's 2/3/3s is actually just pretty good versus Shaman. It still does a lot of the job you want it to do. You got any more questions before we go? Darren?
Yeah. Just sorry, did you have something you
No,
wanted
go ahead.
Yeah, well, stepping outside of the game, we're all being too polite here, and into what you were talking about last week into this week. This is, of course, the first interview we've had with you here. You were saying that you've had a little boost of morale from players telling you to, step up your game because they respect how good you have been in the past. Where are you at now? What's Tyler's mindset heading into this week?
Dude, there's gonna be a secret Grandmasters bootcamp at someone's house, and there's gonna be like top EU Grandmasters, top NA Grandmasters, and me from APAC, and we're gonna like prepare together. Like I'm flying there next week.
Oh right. Oh, this is actually true. I thought you were joking. Oh, so this is actually happening?
True. And it's actually happening. And
how have I not heard about this?
Okay,
if most of us make playoffs, then we can prep together.
Okay. So Tyler, I'm putting you on the spot now. Is there any leaks as to a few names you can throw out as to who's going to go to this
I
secret
can probably
bootcamp?
just say like we're going to Fino's place in Greece, and it's gonna be like Saiyan and Orange and Oskaka and Muzzy and me and
me, I assume. So I'll see you next week.
Okay,
yes,
well,
next week.
before we let you go, I've got one last request. Because of knowledge of this boot camp now, and I know you can do it, I want you to record stuff, like make some vlogs about it, because I think that would be very cool to see. You can release it. You can release it after all the practice and after the matches have happened, of course. But I think it'll be cool for us to see. Yeah, get it done. But no, we'll let you go now after I feel like we've tried for probably too long.
I also wanted to add, like, that win was huge. Like, that was the most important one. Because, like, my tiebreaker score is going to be much better now, right?
It's going to be. We were literally just saying before the interview started that your tiebreaker will be significantly improved because che0nsu's beat everyone else. So it was a really good win, and especially if che0nsu wins his other matches, it pushes everyone else down, keeps you up hopefully, and then that on top of the tiebreak is actually maybe one of the biggest singular wins for you in Grandmasters. Actually, it was awesome. But no, congratulations again, Tyler. Great job, and we'll see you later.
Thanks. See you later.
Oh, big news. I love it. This is what I want to see. Boot camping. All good players not going all in terms of in-game, but all in out of game.
How was I not invited? I'm hurt. I love those guys.
Because you have to be here to cast.
I'll figure it out.
Next week, I just turn up, the camera comes, I'm just on my own. I'm like...
It's just me photoshopped in with like a pina colada on the beach at Fino's place.
Yeah, and then the big question comes up is, do Twitch chat say, well, not really much loss, or are they upset? Maybe we should do this just as an experiment to find out people's opinions.
If everyone truly does hate me. Doesn't that sound like fun, Raven?
A little bit. Makes difference between them hating me. We can now move on to